is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Blackboard. We are Sports Out.
On a beautiful Friday night in Atlanta, we welcome you to a very special night of Atlanta Braves baseball. We begin a 3-game weekend series with the Chicago Cubs. We celebrate Bobby Cox and the 1991 Braves this weekend as well. All year long, Braves baseball on Sports South, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, the right stuff, and the low price. There's the man of the hour, the skipper, Bobby Cox, had his number retired a few moments ago. Chip and Joe at the ballpark. What a way to start this weekend in Atlanta.
Just outstanding, and tip of the cap to our Braves Live crew for all their coverage, all the pregame ceremonies. Well done to Fred and Jerome and everybody involved.
So a great start to the weekend. Let's hope something special continues while the game is taking place. That, of course, Dan Uglow, who brings a 31-game hit streak into tonight's play.
Tied Rico Carty for the longest in Atlanta Braves history with that base hit in the first inning down in Florida the other night. He's increased his batting average 46 points. Are you kidding me? Everybody knows he had somewhere to go, and that was up. Well, he's up to 224. He has 44 hits in the 31 games. Needless to say, he's very hot.
And so is tonight's opponent, the Chicago Cubs. They come to town a struggling team for the most part of this season, but Mike Quaddy's Cubbies are swinging the bats in a big way. We'll talk about Chicago. We'll get you set for the series opener. It's the Braves and it's the Cubs, and more coming your way in a moment. Field for Friday night Braves baseball on Sports South. It's presented by Blimpie, getting you set for game one of the weekend set. The Cubs and the Atlanta Braves. And partner, the Cubs come in 16 games under 500. Don't let that record fool you. They are swinging the bats very well and have won 8 of their last 10.
They've won 8 out of 10 primarily because of their bats. How about that swing from Aramis Ramirez? He's on a hot streak. The Cubs as a whole have hit 22 home runs in their last 11 games, and this guy Ramirez has hit more home runs than anybody since June 25th Mike Minor's going to have to keep him in the ballpark.
And Carlos Zambrano will be the starting pitcher for the Cubs in Game 1. Full house tonight at Turner Field. We honor the skipper, Bobby Cox. But as he'd say, on with the games. Let's see if the Braves can beat the Cubs in Game 1 here at Turner Field next. Part by Academy Sports and Outdoors, by AT&T Uverse, by Delta Airlines, and by Checkers. Back with you at Turner Field, just about ready for our first pitch between the Cubs and the homestanding Braves. Mike Quade is the skipper of the Chicago club, and here is his tonight's Suzuki starting lineup. Starlin Castro is a terrific young shortstop prospect. He's leading things off. Reed Johnson, red hot. Joe told you that Aramis Ramirez has been swinging a red hot bat. He's the Cubs' third baseman.
And Mike Minor on the mound tonight for the Braves. He makes his 8th start. He's 1-2, a 4.85 ERA. That win came in his last start. I should say in his last start, the Braves got a win, and he got a no decision, but he pitched great against the Mets into the 6th inning, gave up 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. His 4 keys to success is to build on that start that he had against New York, and that is to keep firing that slider. Ryan McCann talked about how important that was going to be to his overall success, and stay aggressive. When he got some runs to work with against the Mets, he really started pounding the strike zone, and maybe the most aggressive start for him since he faced these Cubs last year and set a rookie strikeout record.
Starlin Castro's ready to go for the Cubs. He's their leadoff man and their shortstop. He's just 21 years old. Made the jump to the big leagues from Double-A last year.
Heck of a player. And really getting stronger as he goes along from a power standpoint. He's on a pretty good roll, too, to bump his average up to that 310 you saw. 19 hits in his last 10 games.
8th in the league in hitting. Has more hits than anybody in the National League. Remember, we saw Jose Reyes with the Mets leading the National League. Reyes is hurt. Castro's passed him with 152 hits so far this season.
And Michael Bourne right in there in 3rd place. Not that far behind. First game at Turner Field in a Braves uniform for Michael.
Good start for Minor. 1 out.
It was great tonight, of course, honoring Bobby, and then he threw out the first pitch, and Chipper was the recipient of that pitch. And then the umpires came out, and what did Tim Timmons do right away after saying, "Nice to see you, Bobby"? He threw him out of the game. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's great. Here's Reed Johnson. Reed has been swinging a red-hot bat for the Cubs. 7 for his last 8 and 9 for his last 15. That's bumped his average up to 349. And there's the game's first hit. Here's the Braves defensive lineup for game 1. Prado, Bourne, and Constanza in the Atlanta outfield. Standard infield alignment. And David Ross back behind the plate. Braves happy to be home. They had a very successful road trip. They went 6-3 to Washington, New York, and Florida. Ground ball to Chipper. Momentary bobble. No trouble. Inning over. Ramirez loves to swing at the first pitch, and Mike Minor made him pay. Braves come up in the home half of the first. Over 500, and Freddie Gonzalez presents this Suzuki starting lineup. As Joe mentioned, first home game as a Brave for Michael Bourne. Martin Prado had a super series against the Marlins. Freeman and Ugla have had terrific runs after the All-Star break, and Chipper back in there playing third base and hitting fifth.
And big old Carlos Zambrano's on the mound for the Cubs, his 24th start of the year, 30 years old, 6'5", 270 out of Venezuela. 9-6 on the year, 4.46 ERA. Has not had a lot of recent success against the Atlanta Braves. And with his 4 keys to pitching success, oh no, not them again. That's because he's lost his last 4 starts against the Braves in consecutive games, a 6.24 ERA over that, and he's got to have his off-speed stuff tonight. Everybody knows he throws hard, but he's got to throw that changeup for strikes, which he just did.
Quickly, no balls, 2 strikes to Michael Bourne. Brings a 4-game hit streak into tonight's play. in the air to center. But Marlon Byrd tracks it down. And Bourne flies to center for out number 1.
Aside from Chipper, Bourne could give probably the best scouting report of anybody on Zambrano because he's been playing in the same division with him for some time. He and Chipper both with 25 at-bats against him.
Martin Prado, the batter. He has 7 hits in his last 14 at-bats.
For the Cubs, Chip, it's kind of like, what have you done for me lately? They're not having a good year. 16 games under 500. And on the road, they're 12 games under 500, but they're playing their best ball of the year right now, having won 8 of their last 10, and they've won 5 straight road games dating back to their last road trip.
Another fly ball, this one into right center field, and Reed Johnson's under it. And 2 are out for Freddie Freeman. Not only that, the Cubs have won 3 straight series, which hasn't happened in a long, long time for them. So you're right, they're playing very good baseball. And that makes a very exciting homestand even more difficult for the Braves. You got the Cubs, you got the Giants, you got the Diamondbacks. And Freddie Freeman's got a first pitch strike.
Well, and again for Zambrano in the what have you done for me lately category, 3-1 over his last 4 with a very good ERA. And he's trying to work real fast tonight.
Out of play 0-2.
Fastball, curveball, slider. His fastball in the low to mid 90s on a good night for Carlos. And he'll throw a cut or 2 off his fastball.
Two and 2. First chance for Castro at short. And Zambrano has a 1-2-3 bottom half of the first inning. Minor and Zambrano are through a scoreless first inning. The Cubs catcher, and he's leading things off against Mike Minor. Soto's got a little pop. He's hit 12 homers fact, he's hit 3 homers in the last 7 games for the Cubs. And he hits this one a mile high into shallow right field. And Uggla drifts back, battles it, makes the catch belt high. Friends, tickets are still available for tomorrow and Sunday with the Cubs in town. Arrive early on Saturday. Watch the 91 Braves take on other alumni in the Braves Legends game. And on Sunday, over 40 Braves alumni, including David Justice, Dale Murphy, and John Smoltz, will be signing autographs. Fans are encouraged to take MARTA to the games this weekend. Get your tickets now at Braves.com or at 800-745-3000. Here's Marlon Byrd.
He's a big Bobby Cox fan. Grew up out in Marietta, went to Sprayberry High School and later to Georgia Tech at a time when the Braves were on their good roll. He was a huge Braves fan in those days.
Even though Marlon's playing for the Braves opponent, you have to be happy that this man is playing baseball again. You see that big protective flap that's on the batting helmet. During interleague play in Boston, May 21st, Byrd was hit in the face with a pitched ball. And he drives this one deep toward left. And that one hits high off the fence. And Marlon Byrd into second base with a 1-out double. So it's a happy homecoming for Marlon Byrd. That's the second Cubs hit of the night.
Looked like maybe a changeup. And he just dropped the barrel of the bat on it. And fortunate that that one stayed in the ballpark.
So Bird's aboard for Carlos Pena, the Cubs first baseman. Carlos hitting .220, but he's hit 22 homers. And he jumps at the first pitch, hits it into a shift. And Alex Gonzalez, playing on the first base side of the second base bag, retires him for the second out. Bird to third base.
Pena signed as a free agent after spending a lot of years with Tampa Bay. And last year, kind of a similar season. Hit 196 for them for Tampa Bay last year with 28 homers. 227 the year before with 39 homers. Kind of an all or nothing guy.
So here's Soriano. Alfonso with 20 homers. About a .247 average. And 3 Cubs on this roster that have very impressive homer totals. Soriano's the third of that trio.
Nice stop by David Ross. Yeah, it's a little odd to see Soriano batting 7th, quite frankly. But again, he got off to a horrible start. Wasn't doing much until about the last 2 or 3 weeks.
No balls, 2 strikes. And another good play by Ross. Ten straight years with 20 or more homers for Alfonso Soriano.
Good numbers here too. Still a dangerous hitter. I don't think he's anywhere near the same guy he was when he left Washington and signed with the Cubs as a free agent. But he used to come in here with the Nationals and tear up the Braves.
And really the player he is now isn't the player the Cubs thought they were getting when they brought him from Washington. Leg problems, hamstring and quadricep problems. This was a 30-30, 40-40 type player. Power and speed. Still has the pop, but doesn't run nearly as much.
Trying to make sure they're on the same page here on a 2-2 count. Got the number 8 hitter Baker, the second baseman, on deck.
Struck him out. Nice pitch. Second strikeout for Mike Minor, and the Braves coming up in the second. Dan Uggla gets his first crack at number 32 in a row when we come right back. Scoreless game. Dan Uggla set to lead things off for the Braves, but upstairs the man of the hour has joined us, the skipper, Bobby Cox. Congratulations.
Well, thanks, Chip. Thanks, Joe. And it was quite an honor, quite a ceremony here this afternoon, and we had a great one at the Braves Hall of Fame luncheon as well. And I can't thank the players enough, and Maddox and Glavin and Smoltzy coming down and doing what they did, and Dave Justice and all the other guys that showed up. It's quite humbling, and it's really an honor.
Swing and a high fly ball left center. Bird going back. It is out of here. A new Atlanta record for Dan Uggla. That's some style there, skipper.
Well, he's been consistent with his makeup, the way he goes about his business all year long, Chip. It was just a matter of time until he came around and do what Dan Uggla does. And he's doing it right now. 32 games is unbelievable. The amount of home runs he's hit already is something else. And our hitting's much better right now.
And Chipper follows with a hit the other way with nobody out, and the Braves enjoy a 1-0 advantage.
Chipper's always been a 3-hole hitter for most of his career. Once in a while you hit him in the 4 spot. While he was hurt, Freddie moved Freddie Freeman into the 3 spot. He got hot. Uggla stayed hot. Now Chipper batting 5th. You like the way that's kind of configured right now?
Well, you bet. You have to understand, Chipper's a little older right now. He's, 1993, he was MVP. That's a long time ago. And Freddie's great. Every time he makes a move in the batting order, he talks to the players prior, which I always did as well. And Chipper, because I talked to Freddie about it, he said Chipper was fine with it. It was fine. Who cares where you hit? As long as you're in the lineup, I never cared, that's for sure. I always hit 8th anyway. Didn't make any difference.
Foul ball by Alex Gonzalez. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I would say that thankfully when you and I were playing, Bobby, that managers hadn't come up with that pitcher batting eighth thing, or you and I would have been in trouble.
Yeah, we would have been. We'd been hitting ninth, Joe. And, sometimes that's a good idea, and other times, I don't know. In the minor leagues, I hit some of my pitchers third. Believe it or not, they were such good hitters. And I can recall a story with Scott McGregor, the left-hander that did so well with Baltimore. We had him with the Yankee organization. I almost died when we traded him. He became a standout pitcher with Baltimore, but I hit him third in AAA one year, and he got beat one night, 2-1. The only run we got, he was hitting third, was a home run.
Kind of like the guy pitching against the Braves today. Carlos Zambrano can really swing the bat.
You have to really, you have to consider him a seventh-place hitter. So, walking the eighth-place guy to get to him, sometimes not a great idea, but I'm sure Freddie knows what he's doing tonight.
Pop foul and out of play.
For the fans that weren't here, Bobby, we were able to show on tape the greeting you got from the umpires, and then what's new? Another ejection.
It was so funny. I wanted to go in and say hello to them and shake their hands, and the home plate umpire, he says, Bobby, you want me to run you? I said, heck yeah, let's go. So he said, you're out of here.
That's over the inside corner. Alex, not sure about that. Now, what would you say on a call like that, Bobby, from your perch in the dugout?
It depends on what my hitter's reaction was. If he stood there and argued a while, I would have been arguing right with him. And apparently it was inside. And Gonzo's got the same face all the time.
Yeah.
It never changes, so you never know if he's mad or it's okay or whatever.
Yeah, even when he's going good, he looks mad.
Yeah, he does.
David Ross, the hitter. Chipper at first. And a line drive into right center field. Chipper got a late start. Ball bobbled by Bird. They'll be at the corners with one out.
What a luxury he is, isn't he, to have behind McCann, David Ross?
David Ross is the best backup catcher in all of baseball. There's no doubt about it. He's great defensively, throws super, great clubhouse guy, and he always hits. When we put him in there, he always hits. I noticed one thing tonight. Zambrano is opening up a lot more than I can ever recall. He is really open when he delivers the ball, but the last four starts, I know that, he's been really, really successful. So.
To Freddie Freeman, he was trying to bury his fastball inside, and he was stepping almost toward the Braves on deck circle.
It was
up that far.
Yeah, it was very obvious, so maybe he's found something. I don't know.
Speaking of finds, how about this guy in the batter's box, Jose Constanza?
I saw him in AAA, and they've got some other guys down there that are doing pretty darn good as well, and this kid just makes everything happen just like this.
Pena missed the tag. Run is in.
He's going to call him out.
Yeah, they're going to call him out of the baseline, but Chipper scores on the bunt.
Tim Timmons is the home plate umpire, and he's the guy that rang him up. And Freddie was going to make sure that it was Timmons who made the call before he comes out. I don't think that's a bad call.
No, it's a good call, Joe, and he definitely avoided the tag by about 8 feet. So you got to run somewhere in a direction. He ran way out, which is good. It's fine.
So Braves get another run. It's a 2-0 score. Mike Minor has a chance to hit. And Bobby, I know you have so many things to get to tonight. I think all of us were touched at your reaction when the cover was pulled off number 6.
Well, I was fine until that curtain came off that thing, and I got in my stomach and my mind a little emotional. I really did, and I held it together well. And you never know, how you're gonna react. But it's to be up there with just a few others is really something. And I did. I said that it's one of the greatest honors a manager or a player or a coach or whoever could ever have, having their number retired.
Zambrano bobbles, but gets his man, Mike Minor. 2-0 Atlanta. The streak lives on. Dan Uggla launches number 25 for a 32-game hit streak and a new Atlanta hit streak record. out in California. As the Braves enjoy a 2-0 lead, Joe Simpson, Chip Carey, and the skipper, Bobby Cox. I got to compliment you on your wardrobe tonight, looking awful spiffy with the coat and tie.
Well, not too often, Chip, but every once in a while you have to dress up. Thankfully, I have a wife that ran a men's store 100 years ago, and she can pick out colors, and hopefully she picked out the right ones tonight.
I think it's pretty cool that you get that on over your Braves jersey that you never take off.
Well, I hate giving up that jersey, but, you know, you get old enough, Joe, you got to give it up.
Jeff Baker's the batter. I was wondering if you're going to wear spikes tonight. Were you tempted?
Maybe tomorrow during the softball game. I hope that people come out because that 91 team has a lot of special guys on it and wonderful people. And, you know, it would be nice if they show up around 5 o'clock and get to see them perform a little bit.
It doesn't seem possible that it was 20 years ago that 91 team did what it did.
I've always said baseball's a blur, and quite honestly it is. And I wouldn't either, Chip. It's gone so fast. And a couple guys I didn't recognize tonight. I saw Doug Siss. Remember Doug?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Doug never threw a pitch for us, I don't think, the entire 91 season. And he was nice enough to come out here tonight, which we love. And all the other...
Jeff Baker drives that one deep down the left field line, and a foul ball. He just missed.
Last year, you were in the dugout in Wrigley Field when Mike Minor had that brilliant game, 12 strikeouts in 6 innings. What do you think of him?
Well, that day, Joe, he had his curveball going. They couldn't hit him. When you've got a breaking ball like he's got, he doesn't have it every start, but when he does, he's going to get a lot of strikeouts. And that's the one thing I know Roger is keying on, try to get that thing more consistent. But when he's got it, because, you know, he throws 90 to 93 at times, or 89 to 93, and that's all you need is a left hand. If you got a breaking ball, they're going to chase if you can get ahead of them. And he had them chasing everything that day. And, you know, it's about being consistent, and you got to remember he's just out of college.
Full count to Baker with the bases clear. And that's driven down the right field line. And that'll stay fair for Baker, who's on his way to second. And Jeff continues his good work against left-handed pitching for the Cubs, and he's in scoring position in front of Carlos Zambrano. 2 doubles for Chicago, 3 hits.
Last year, Bobby, when you were making your last turn through the National League and you got so many nice gifts from different teams, Chip and I were trying to come up with something for you that would be unique, and we tried to find you a pair of loafers with spikes on them. We just couldn't find anybody to make them for us.
Well, you know, the organizations were so nice to me last year, Joe, and, you know, everywhere we went, they had a little ceremony, and it was really, really nice. And the one I remember the most probably is the one in Chicago. We're playing on a Sunday afternoon, and Lou Piniella resigned. And he was supposed to come out to home plate, which he did, but he had the press conference and you know, resigned. His mom was awfully sick, and he was going back and forth. The club wasn't going well, and he needed to be home. And that I had tears at my eyes when Lou came to home plate, and he had so much emotion. And you know, it's one I'll never forget. The Cubs executives gave me a number 6 out of the scoreboard, and I'm in the process right now of getting all this stuff that they've given me up in the basement and down in the playroom. So it was nice of them. And, you know, you don't like to be getting things all the time. You're kind of embarrassed about it, but it was such a nice gesture by all the organizations to do something. Makes me feel good.
You told me today in our interview for the Hall of Fame that your favorite player growing up was Stan Musial, and then the Cardinals give you that wonderful picture, autographed picture from Stan Musial to you. I thought that
it's
was a good
absolutely up already.
I bet.
Stan the Man was my guy. I grew up in California, and the Cardinal organization had a team in Fresno, about 15 miles from where I live. So I became a Cardinal fan, and Stan Musial was my guy, and he probably was about 10 million other people's guy too, because he was Stan the Man. Great guy, tremendous ball player, and just a great person.
2 balls, no strikes to Starlin Castro, who bats with 1 out. Baker doubled. Carlos Zambrano struck out, the 3rd for Minor in the game.
Mike and the Braves lead 2-0. By the skipper, Bobby Cox, as we open up this big weekend with the Cubs. Have you got your pitching rotation set for tomorrow's big game?
I don't know who we're going to start right now. I don't know who's lost the most weight or gained the most weight. Some of them look really good. Some others, they look about like me. So we're going to have to see what we do. But it's going to be fun. I hope nobody tries too hard in that game, to be honest with you, because these guys are competitive, and you better watch out.
Sure. And what kind of game is it going to be? Is it going to be softball? Is it going to be baseball?
Joe, I heard softball. Now I hear baseball. So I hope it's baseball. Because we're further away from each other, and nobody gets clobbered with a softball from 40 feet.
I hope there's a pitching screen in front of whoever's pitching.
You bet.
2-2 to Castro. And Chipper charges.
Boy, Chip.
Nice play. 2 out.
He's 39 now, Bobby, but even the last 5 years, is there anybody that makes that play better than him, charging in and sometimes barehanding the ball?
I think Brooks Robinson and Chipper Jones. Chipper's got a knack for catching that thing barehanded and making the play, but I can remember Brooks. But they're both right there. Chipper's renowned for that around the league. And everybody's eyes pop out every time he makes one of them.
I've always wanted to ask you this. Have you ever sat back and thought about how different history might have turned out in Atlanta had you not taken Chipper first?
It wouldn't have been too good, that's for sure. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't know about first ballots, because first ballots are hard to come by, but he's certainly going to be in the Hall of Fame with his stats and the way he's handled himself throughout all of his years. And to be 39 and doing what he's doing right now, he still looks great. He's always been a kid to me.
He can sure tell a funny story, too.
Yeah. He was funny this afternoon at the Braves Hall of Fame. He really was. And I think the fans really loved it.
Fly ball shallow left, and that'll drop in front of Prado for a base hit. Reed Johnson's 2 for 2. Baker scores, and that cuts the Braves lead in half. It's now a 2-1 game. Reed Johnson swinging a hot bat.
Heard his name, heard Marlon Byrd's name is among those before the trade deadline as possibilities that the Braves might be interested in. As on the inside of that, Bobby, at the trade deadline, are there meetings going on and phone calls going on day and night when you're talking about trying to improve the club?
Sure. All GMs nowadays are so engaged in the trade deadline, and they mix it up with every organization, see what's available. We tell them what is available from our organization, and as well as what we're looking for. And the GMs, their job, I think about 50 years ago, the GMs would kind of go to sleep after the season. The winter meetings, December early, and now it's 12 months a year. They can't take a day off, do anything. If you miss something, you're missing out.
Well, I know that both you and Joe have only recently mastered the iPhone. Can you imagine what it would be like being a GM these days, trying to learn how to do that too?
Well, I can remember when I was GM, when I would go scouting with Paul Snyder, we'd have to find a service station with a payphone, to find out where we were, how to get to the ballpark, and things like that. It's amazing how the technology has changed the world, actually, and I'm not so sure it's all for the good. All of our kids, every time the grandkids come over, the first thing they go to is the computer.
Ramirez takes a call, third strike. Skipper, what a day. Congratulations, well deserved.
Thank you, Chip. Joe, thank you.
Bobby, congratulations.
Number 6 on the facade, but number 1 in Braves country's collective hearts. The skipper, Bobby Cox. And we head to the bottom of the third inning. up in the home half of our third inning. And Michael Bourne pops it out of play. Strike one.
Trading deadline was 12 days ago, but as Joe mentioned, this is the first time Michael Bourne has been able to play for his new team in his home ballpark. The Braves acquired Michael on the final Sunday before the non-waiver trade deadline, then immediately went on the road trip to Washington, New York, and Florida. So here he is. Actually gets a chance to spend some time in the home clubhouse.
And in a white uniform.
Yeah.
I almost didn't recognize the guys tonight. Hit that one off his foot. Don't like to see that when you're talking about one of your faster players. Here's what Bobby was talking about with Zambrano. Watch that front foot and how far he steps toward the first base line. Well off a direct line to the plate, and you can see that pulls his follow through toward the first base foul line too.
There's the breaking ball, and it gets Michael Bourne, and that's Zambrano's second strikeout of the game. Starting Monday, we invite you to join us here at Turner Field for a rematch of last year's NLDS matchup. The Braves will host the world champion San Francisco Giants. Good tickets available for that series. Get them at Braves.com/tickets tonight. Ball one to Martin Prado, who flied to right his first time up. The big story for the Braves is taking place just north of the ballpark tonight. Brian McCann's expected to make a rehab start tonight for the Gwinnett Ball Club. And as we get information on how he's doing tonight, we'll certainly pass that along, but he's cautiously optimistic he'll be back very soon for the Atlanta team.
And I think everybody has the same feeling about it. Just don't rush it and don't overdo it. Oh, breaking ball there. That had Martin getting out of the way.
Straight back.
Zambrano's battled some injuries the last couple of years. Limited some of his playing time, but did win 11 games last year, only 9 the year before that, and 9-6 this year.
That's launched down the left field line and into the Cubs bullpen.
He was very lucky there, Zambrano, because he slowed everything down and telegraphed that off-speed pitch.
Deep short. Castro makes things look very easy out there, doesn't he? Very smooth young player, 2A.
They were told that he certainly has good range, very athletic. Most of his errors are throwing errors, a little erratic.
Now Freddie Freeman, the batter. Freddie 0 for his last 8. He bounced to short his first time.
Good life on that 93 heater on the inside corner.
And a base hit to right. fourth Atlanta hit. Freeman has his first, and it brings Dan Uggla to the plate. And if you missed the second inning, you missed some Atlanta history from Dan Uggla.
A launch job for his 32nd straight game with a base hit. Now only trails Tommy Holmes for the longest in franchise history.
12th time during the streak that Dan has gotten a base hit in his first at bat during this 32-game run.
That's the 13th homer during the streak. I bet it was.
Carlos has the heavy sinker working in this third inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
How about that? I mean, this has got to be such a popular item that a lot of flash bulbs going off in the ballpark with each pitch to Dan.
And we oftentimes in the sport get so lost in the numbers. It's a hit every day for a full month.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it's a season high. I mean, for his batting average, his average had been the highest, had been 222, and I think that was like the 7th or 8th game of the season. And now he's at 226. And to be at 226 now after having so many at bats and batting 170 something when this streak started, that's impressive.
And Zambrano hits him in the left hip.
No place for Dan to go on this one. I mean, it's right at your hip bone at the belt. There's really no place to duck, hide, or turn.
Fifth man Carlos has hit this year. It brings up Chipper Jones, who in this situation has been at his best all year.
He loves batting in these situations.
Two-hole breaking ball makes the count 2-1. That's the score. Atlanta 2, Cubs 1. Braves batting in the third. High fly center. Bird going back. Track. Wall. That one's gone. And a little history for Chipper Jones, too. 1,000th extra base hit in the big leagues.
He laid off a 2-0 slider and then just raked what looked like a fastball down and in. Double digits for homers for Chipper.
Just like that, it's a 5-1 game.
That ball came back a little to the middle of the plate, too, and Zambrano didn't even need to turn around and watch.
Now Alex skies one towards center. Bird going back. Boy, the ball is carrying to center tonight. And that retires the side. Chipper Jones to straightaway center. A 3-run homer, all of the damage with 2 outs. And the Braves up 5-1.
By the Georgia Lottery, by AT&T, and by KFC.
Thanks indeed, Bobby Cox. The Braves lead on his special day by a 5-1 score as we go to the 4th inning. It's not the Cubs that are hitting home runs tonight, but the Braves, who've launched 2 of them. Chipper Jones and Dan Uggla have gone deep. Now Mike Minor facing the middle of the Chicago lineup.
Mike's got the lead. Let's see if he gets aggressive in the strike zone and fires some first pitch strikes like he just did to Soto.
The Cub catcher, a former Rookie of the Year. Won those honors back in 2008. Started the All-Star game that season. He promptly pops up. Freddie Freeman can't find it. Now makes the play in the first base coaching box.
That time of night. I don't think he saw it until right at the last second. He's looking, searching. He was in the right neighborhood, and there it is. That was not a sign of "I got it." That was a "Help me, Rhonda."
One out from Marlon Byrd. Byrd doubled. That hit came with a man out in the Chicago second. Marlon's a good player. Took him a while to stick in the big leagues. Remember, he was with the Phillies, Washington, and had a real good year in 2009 with Texas. Hit 20 home runs that season, then came to Chicago last year and made the All-Star team. And continued the good work in Texas with his hitting coach, Rudy Jaramillo, who's in his second, I believe, or third year with the Cubs. He's their hitting instructor.
Cubs are wearing a patch on their jersey you might see for number 10, saluting one of their all-time greats, Ron Santo, who passed away this past winter. And they unveiled a statue, didn't they, at Wrigley Field
yesterday
for Ron? Great.
one lived and died for the Cubs more than Ron Santo. I mean, he truly was a fan of the game and a great player. And a beloved broadcaster, and certainly a man we all miss. And back up the middle, diving Triugla, and Bird's 2 for 2. While you're watching our game tonight, head over to our website at foxsportssouth.com. Click on Game Connect. It's the best way to follow along with our broadcast. With streaming stats for you to track live, it also puts the current pitcher and batter head-to-head, plus connect it all up to your social media. Check out Game Connect at foxsportssouth.com.
Miner's been good firing those first pitch strikes, and they're 12 out of the first 14 batters so far. And he's facing a guy, Pena, who grounded out into the shift his first time up. But Pena, the worst batting average in the National League against left-handed pitching, 116.
It took Carlos a while to figure out Wrigley Field early in the season. He did not hit a home run for the Cubs in their first 25 games. But like his jersey top, he's now got 22.
10 for 86 against lefties coming in with 33 strikeouts.
Miners struck out 4 Cubs so far. He's got 1 out here in the 4th.
He's just 23 years old. Still learning. 6'4", 205.
In the air to center. Bourne broke back. Now comes galloping in. Bird back to first. And 2 are out. Time for the AT&T U-verse trivia question with the Braves enjoying a 5-1 lead. Alfonso Soriano, one of 3 active players with 10 straight 20-homer years. Who are the other 2?
Got to think about that one for a second.
Pujols comes to mind for me immediately.
Yep. It's a good one. Prince Fielder hadn't been in the league long enough.
And it's not just a National League question.
Alex Rodriguez.
Jim Thome is closing in on 600. I don't know if Thome had a year where he was hurt or not. Popped up out of play. Big quandary for the Cubs. What do you do with Soriano? He's not the player that they signed to that long contract, which runs 3 more years after this one.
I'm sure it's at some lightweight money, though, right?
Oh, yeah. But when he connects, it goes a long way. Into the seats, still 0-2.
Very strong. Has that high leg kick that's a very good timing device for him, but it also helps him generate a lot of bat speed. Once he gets that foot down, gets his hips turned, he is very quick.
Remember, he was an infielder. He was with the Yankees and Washington too. With the leg problems, again, left field is the safest place for him now with Chicago. Line to short, and that'll take care of the Cubs in the 4th inning. Minor has an all-important shutdown inning and leads the game 5-1. The right stuff and the low price. With my fine partner and the finest MC known in the state of Georgia, Joe Simpson, Chip Carey with you from Turner Field, where this very special weekend has gotten off with a bang for the Braves. A couple of home runs off Carlos Zambrano, and it's a 5-1 score. And in all seriousness, congratulations, Joe. You did an outstanding job hosting the Hall of Fame luncheon today, and just great to see everybody with that ballroom filled up for Bobby Cox.
Thanks, Chip. It was a lot of fun, and it's always good to see a lot of the alumni come back for that. That's as rewarding as anything, I would say, at least, and especially for Bobby, to have all those guys come back for him on such a special occasion. Last count, 930 people there tonight or today in the ballroom at the Omni for the banquet. That was a record.
It was great seeing Chipper get up and make his speech for Bobby today. As David Ross pops one up behind the first base bag. Pena in foul ground, now near the target, and makes the play. And makes the play for out number 1.
Yeah, Chipper was hysterical.
But he said, wow, there are a lot of people out here.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't think a guy that plays in front of 40,000 people would have stage fright. As Jose Constanza stands in, let's check out tonight's quote of the game presented by Geico, and it is featuring this very exciting outfielder speedster.
From Tim Hudson, I'd rather face a guy like Barry Bonds than someone like Constanza. I want somebody up there who's there to hit a home run. And we saw him, Constanza, in Florida, have 3 infield hits, bouncing them all off the plate. And by the way, on that bunt attempt, he was credited with a sacrifice for those of you that are keeping score in the 2nd inning, a sacrifice and an RBI.
And you bring up a good point on that Florida series. Think of the guys that he hit the ball to. Bonifacio and Amezaga, 2 of the fastest guys in our league, and he outran the ball and those defenders for Florida. This ball driven deep down the left field line. That ball is gone! Constanza takes the grand tour.
Folks, that's just genuine excitement and thrill watching him run the bases. High fastball, he got on top of it and slashed it to left field. And you're right, Chip, ball's jumping tonight.
Folks, to put this in perspective, Constanza has 2 homers in the major leagues. Coming into this season, in 2,947 at-bats, he had 7 home runs.
Well, everybody always says it's easier to hit in this league. But, I mean, it's just genuine joy running the bases. He got to second and third, and each time he had to kind of put his helmet back down on his head because he was about to fly off. He was moving so quick. What a thrill. You got to hang on to that helmet.
Miner couldn't check his swing, and Mike is down for out number 2 here in the 4th inning. Just a great story. Jose Constanza, first professional year, 2003. Not even a sniff of big league baseball. Braves signed him to a minor league free agent contract after scouting him in winter ball. And he is making the most of this first big league opportunity. Now Bourne can fly. Castro unloads quickly and got him by a quarter step. The Braves are playing long ball in Turner Field. Not 1, not 2, but 3 homers. The last by Jose Constanza. And Atlanta leads Carlos Zambrano by a 6-1 score. Five-run lead into the 5th inning, and he's got the bottom part of the Cubs order starting things off. It's Jeff Baker, the second baseman. And these Cubs have gone up there swinging at the first pitch an awful lot.
Gotta like that, especially in the first inning when he got through the first inning so easily thanks to the first pitch swing of Ramirez into a double play.
That one down the right field line and slicing and fair. Takes a funny hop in the corner. And Baker in standing, leading off the 5th inning with a double. That's 2 of those for the 8th place Cub hitter.
And 3 on the night for the Cubs. A little inside out swing on a pitch down. Not a bad pitch, actually below the knees, but he placed it well.
Here's Zambrano. You heard Bobby Cox say you have to treat this man like a 7th place hitter. That's how good he is with the bat. And at the first pitch he swings. Chipper knocks it down, throws him out. Baker at second with one down.
And he hit this ball sharply. Chipper didn't rush himself, though. He knew he had the pitcher running and made a good throw. Zambrano's a hothead. He's got a furious temper that can bust out at any time. And already down in this ball game 6-1, and getting robbed of a hit there. It's not going to. Something's going to pay.
Here's Castro. He's 0 for 2. Line into center. 2 outs. A couple of times in the game we've seen Bourne break back on fly balls to center. Again, this is his first home game as a Brave.
Takes a little time to get used to your own ballpark, and watching the ball off the bat, being able to read it. Typically only plays 3 games a year here.
Ernie Johnson bats.
Sorry, Chip. The ball really jumps off Castro's bat, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's a good-looking player. Johnson's 2 for 2, has the Cubs RBI. That came in the 3rd inning. He brought home Baker with a single.
Another first pitch strike for Minor.
A second pitch strike. Second go round for Ernie Johnson with the Cubs. He played last year with the Dodgers after spending 2 seasons on Chicago's north side. Another chance at third for Chipper. Long throw across is just in time, and that retires the side. Mike Minor has a terrific game working. He leads 6-1 in the middle of the 5th. Outdoors, by McDonald's, and by Ford. Bottom of the fifth inning. Great night. Boy, it's awesome to see Turner Field filled up, excited, and to see the Braves playing well tonight. They've been making a lot of noise since 4:30 when the gates open for tonight's ball game. And the gates will open at 4 o'clock tomorrow night for Game 2 of the series between the Cubs and Braves. Don't forget, the 91 Braves alumni will face the other Braves alumni in a baseball or softball game. Not sure which it'll be. Bobby Cox will manage the 91 alumni. It's funny how politically correct baseball's gotten. It used to be an old-timers game. Now it's alumni game.
I like Bobby. It's like some things never change. You ask him who the starting pitcher was going to be, and he goes, well, I haven't decided yet. He wasn't going to commit.
Martin Prado toward left center, and Soriano is there. And Prado's 0 for 3, and 1 out in the fifth. Braves trying to win tonight. Hoping to get a little help from the Nationals. They're in Philadelphia tonight, and Washington's winning that game 3-1 in the fifth. Braves start play tonight 8.5 games behind the Phillies. So 4-5 up on the wild card. And that's a shot deep left center field and gone. Man, oh man.
$14 home runs allowed by Zambrano on the year coming in. Our Coors Light cold hard blast from Freddie Freeman is the 4th hit by Atlanta tonight. And I mean to tell you, it was launched. And no one throwing in the Cubs bullpen right now.
In 141 innings, Carlos Zambrano's given up 14 homers. He's given up 4 homers tonight and 4 1/3. It's just amazing. I mean, this is a guy that's known for his turbo sinker, and it's not sinking tonight.
Chippers went 437 feet, tail of the tape. I would say Freeman's was close to it. We'll have to get Laser Baker back on it. As now the Cubs have Ramon Ortiz loosening up.
And Dan Uggla is going to circle the bases.
Got a big dose of Bobby Cox today. Otherwise, I don't have any explanation for it other than it's fun to watch. Slider. Not necessarily a hanger, but certainly out over the plate, and Dan golfed it out for his second of the night.
And Mark Riggins, the pitching coach, out to let the pyrotechnics crew reload. 9 o'clock in Atlanta, but approaching midnight for Carlos Zambrano, who has been blasted in this game. It's an 8-1 score. Freddie Freeman and Dan Uggla go back to back. On this night where we've seen some Atlanta history, Dan Uggla, now the longest Atlanta Braves hitting streak. Chipper Jones with 1,000 extra base hits. Carlos Zambrano has now given up the most homers in any game he's ever pitched in the big leagues, 5.
Tim Timmons just threw him out of the game.
And Tim Timmons has the Braves bench in order. And you called it a moment ago, Joe, the volcanic personality of Carlos Zambrano. They didn't want to take him out. He took care of that himself by throwing at Chipper Jones.
There's something that goes with chicken salad, and you just saw it. That's weak. That is really, really weak. He just gave up 5 home runs. And his reply to that is not to get better and pitch better and throw better pitches, but to throw at somebody. That's weak. If I'm Carlos Zambrano's teammates, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of having to try to defend him. Tim Timmons did a terrific job there of putting a cap on that situation, immediately throwing him out and doing a real good traffic cop job of keeping the Braves from going after him.
Carlos Zambrano is supposed to be the Cubs' ace. They lead 8-1, and you'll see how it's happened on our Blimpie game summary.
Dan Uggla, the first one to connect. That was in the second inning. Chipper with a 3-run shot with 2 out in the third. Constanza the opposite way, just clearing the left field wall. Freeman this inning to deep left center. Uggla followed. Back-to-back homers. And then he tried for 2 pitches to hit Chipper and couldn't. And immediately was thrown out of the game and headed to the dugout. And Timmons did a good job of putting a stop sign up on the Atlanta bench.
No Braves even crossed the foul line. As Zambrano, after ejected, just walked straight down to the Cubs dugout, had a few words, it looked like, with some fans.
Well, you ought to just walk out to the bus and go home. I mean, if that's all you got, that's just brutal.
But you kind of had a feeling something was going to happen, because that's the MO of Zambrano. When things don't go well.
No, there have been times where he's been a nut job. He's had fights with teammates. He's destroyed coolers and drink dispensers in their dugout. I don't know how much longer you put up with it.
Ortiz on to face Chipper Jones now. He inherits a 2-1 count. Now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. And he gets Chipper swinging. 2 outs in the 5th. 2 outs, bases clear for Alex. 1 ball, no strikes. Ramon Ortiz has been around a while. The Angels, the Reds, Washington, Minnesota, Colorado, the Dodgers, and now the Cubs.
It's his 8th game with Chicago, and 2 of them have been starts, but not a lot of success. But that was a good off-speed pitch there. Got a good off-speed pitch to get Chipper.
Two. Castro again at short. And that will retire the side. The Braves go back-to-back again in this ball game. 5th inning blasts from Freddie Freeman and Dan Uggla. Carlos Zambrano erupts. He is ejected. And Atlanta has a big lead. 8-1 after 5. Presented by Blimpie. It's game 1 of this weekend series between the Cubs and Braves. Atlanta's hit 5 home runs off Carlos Zambrano, who has been ejected. And now Mike Minor goes to work in the 6th, and Aramis Ramirez. And again, he swings at the first pitch. This time, he reaches successfully a leadoff single.
I didn't see Tim Timmons warn Mike Minor that, you know, for any retaliation you'll be ejected too. So he may have the leeway there of pitching inside without fear of accidentally hitting somebody, but we'll keep an eye on that.
Giovanni Soto, the batter.
Usually when the umpire does issue, I'll say, a warning to either side, it's very blatant. I mean, it's very obvious. He is pointing at the dugout to let them know that will not be tolerated, any kind of retaliation. That did not look like that type of warning.
Could he have said, hey, you can pitch inside?
I don't know what it's possible. He might have also said, you know what? I'm not going to warn you, but don't do anything stupid. You know?
Really, I'm sure someone's going to keep track. There's a book, an unofficial log of the retribution Bible, I guess, in baseball that every team has. But it's a real dangerous game, quite obviously, in the literal sense, but also the figurative one, too, because at this point, the Braves have much more to lose. There's a beanball situation erupting in this series. There's an inside pitch.
But again, he's got to have the liberty to pitch inside. He's got to do that, and Mike doesn't mind pitching inside. And he's got to do that especially to right-handed hitters.
Full count to Soto, who's popped up twice.
Plus, you got to understand, he's not going to try to hit a guy with a guy on base. He's not going to try to create a big problem for himself. You got to know the game well enough to understand when is a good time to do it and when it's not.
Paints the outside corner. Soto upset with himself.
But that's why he's got to pitch inside. He's got that good curveball that Bobby Cox was talking about, and when it's working, he's got to keep the right-handed hitters honest so that he can do this. And that might have been a changeup out there, because it was definitely something off speed.
2 hits for Marlon Byrd tonight. Marlon went over the 1,000 hit mark on August 4th for his major league career. See if Minor can get a double play ball. Yeah, we have 2 more with the Cubs. We'll see this Chicago team one more time as well. We will visit Wrigley Field coming up. 4 games on August 22nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
And again, the scouting report we got on these guys was that, yeah, they're swinging hot bats, but their pitching has not improved. It's still been a rough year for them on the mound.
You have to factor in, too, with all due respect, the clubs that they were playing. They had 4 games with the Pirates. Pittsburgh had absolutely collapsed. 3 games with the Reds, another club that's really fallen on hard times. And 3 with Washington. And Bird couldn't stop his swing. That ball was on the inner half. And he's down on strikes. That's 6 for Mike Minor.
Struck out 5 in 5 2/3 his last start against the Mets. You see him growing up a little bit with every start, don't you? Getting a little more aggressive, having more confidence in his stuff, and it goes back to some things Brian McCann said to us during an in-game interview not too long ago about how he's got to get that slider working and keep improving on it, throw it for strikes, and be aggressive and trust his stuff.
Helps too to have 8 runs to play with,
I'll say.
Taking nothing away from Mike. He's pitched very well. Got a first inning double play ball and has rolled along merrily ever since. Driven toward right, and Constanza knocks it down. Ramirez stopped for a moment at second base, then kicks it up a notch and makes it to third base with 2 outs. They're at the corners for the Cubs, and Soriano the batter.
Like Pena got a gift there. He struggled, as we told you, all year long against left-handed pitching, but like he got a mistake. Made the most of it.
Now Soriano bats. Alfonso 0 for 2. He struck out and lined out. Soriano has a 4-game hitting streak working tonight. High fly ball belted toward left. And that one hits off the base of the wall. Martin had some trouble, and a couple of runs are going to score with 2 outs for the Cubs. Soriano doubles home Ramirez and Carlos Pena. And let's see if Martin's all right. It's an 8-3 score.
I'm not sure what happened to Martin on that. It's almost like he thought it was going to go out of the park, and then it didn't. It sure sounded like it. Minor thought it was out. And he actually had that in his glove and then really hit the wall hard. He had it. He really looked like he kind of got some whiplash when he hit the wall so hard with his left shoulder.
Scored a double and 2 RBIs for Soriano, giving him 58 for the year. It extends his hitting streak to 5 games now. And it's now an 8-3 Atlanta lead. Minor up to 90 pitches. He's in the 6th inning. The Braves bullpen is going to start working.
Watch this effort here. Kind of changed direction on him when the ball died a little bit at the wall, but he got it in the glove, and then bang. Ball seemed to be coming loose a little bit even as he hit the wall.
He's still trying to shake off that collision. Baker down a strike. An even count.
Pitcher spot due up next, and John Graybo, former Pirate, is loosening up. He's a left-hander.
And Baker's aboard for the 3rd time tonight. First walk for Minor. First and second, 2 outs. And it'll be Darwin Barney to pinch hit.
This guy's a rookie and had a good year. And once he was announced, Freddie was just waiting. And that's going to end the night for Minor.
Mike will go 5 2/3 innings. He'll walk a man. He'll strike out 6. 3 runs across for the Cubs. And now the game in the hands of the very capable Atlanta bullpen. Christian Martinez was loosening. We'll see if he's the man summoned in an 8-3 Braves game in the 6th. Alfonso Soriano doubles home a pair to make it an 8-3 game. He's the subject of our AT&T Uverse trivia question. He's one of 3 actives with 10 straight 20-plus home run seasons. Can you name the other 2?
I think we agree on Pujols.
Yep.
And said Alex Rodriguez.
You know, I was thinking American League veteran player, David Ortiz, the Red Sox.
Okay.
Longtime DH.
Way to go. Still on fire.
And time now for the AT&T call to the bullpen. Answered by Christian Martinez. He'll try to get out Darwin Barney with 2 on and 2 out.
Look out. Christian's gone at least 2 innings in relief work in 4 of his last 5 outings. Last work on the 8th down in Florida, gave up a run in 2 innings of work.
Facing the pride of Beaverton, Oregon, and Oregon State, Darwin Barney, 4th round picked by the Cubs back in 2007.
Having a good year as a rookie.
And Christian gets Barney on strikes. The Cubs get 2. They strand 2 in the 6th inning. 8-3. Atlanta still in front.
Nice job, Mike. Nice job.
Cam. Bobby Cox coming out to throw out the first pitch tonight. And how'd he do? Steve Rye. That's Coors Light Freeze Cam, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Not bad for having on a sport coat, too. Plus, he had his jersey on underneath. Now, Dan Ugla wore number 6 down in Florida, so when he came to Atlanta, the chances of him getting to wear 6 here were pretty slim. I'd say they're slightly slimmer now.
Huh.
So he went to 16, and then, well, no, wait a minute. There's a guy wearing 16. Yeah. His name is Brian McCann, 27-time All-Star. So how about 26? There you go. Got a winner.
Got a new pitcher out there for the Cubs. Left-hander John Graybo. 48th appearance. Real interesting splits for Graybo. He's pitched great in Chicago. He's been blistered on the road. A 6.86 ERA in 21 road appearances. 15 earned runs in almost 20 innings.
That's blistered.
Heard that before. He's given up a run in each of his last 3 outings. He'll try to give the Cubs some innings. Their bullpen worked a lot in a rainout makeup game that was played yesterday in Chicago. They're a little short down there, especially with their closer, Carlos Marmol. They'll try to stay away from him tonight. David Ross leads off the 6th with his second single of the game. And Jose Constanza is the batter, and he's the subject of our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard.
Highest average this month belongs to this young man, hitting .470. And then 3 shortstops after that, including the Cubs shortstop at .422.
Constanza homered to left his last time out. He also laid down a sacrifice bunt in the second that brought home Chipper Jones. He was called out for running out of the baseline on that play. That gave the Braves a 2-0 lead.
He can take some funny swings, and he took a couple like that against a left-handed pitcher down in Florida, but at the end of the day, he's 8 for 14 against lefties, a .571 average.
And that one's rocketed off the pitcher, and the throw gets by Pena. Ross will make his way to third. Constanza is going to be at first. 2 on, nobody out. And Graybo got smoked. And Mike Quade and the Cubs trainer out to check him out.
Last thing they need if their bullpen's a little short-handed right now. Hanging slider right off his knee, it looked like. And redirected right over to Ramirez, who throws it away, and it'll be an E5. Jeff Samardzija begins to loosen up. But Constanza, I mean, for all the Baltimore chops that he hits off the plate, he's got an equal number of just rockets off the barrel of his bat, too. Like this one. Comes right back at Graybo and smoked him right on the knee.
So Brooks Conrad will grab a bat. He'll pinch hit. Christian Martinez assigned 1 man to get out. He did that. And an 8-3 game for Conrad. First and third, nobody out. Looping line drive, shallow right. Pinch hit single for Conrad. That'll score Ross. Constanza to third, standing. It's a 9-3 game. Bravo's road woes continue.
And for Brooks Conrad, his 11th RBI, the 8th as a pinch hitter. He's now 10 for 43. And a good read by Constanza, who saw that was going to drop and able to go first to third.
Now Michael Bourne hits one in the air to center. Third back to the edge of the track. Tagging from third, Constanza. He will score standing. Ten across for Atlanta.
Pour it on. The more runs you get tonight, the farther you put Carlos Zambrano from having a chance to get off the hook and getting a no decision.
It's the third time the Braves have scored 10 or more runs this month.
Martin Prado had a visit with Jim Lovell in the dugout, assistant trainer, and declared himself okay. There's Levy.
Martin will tell you he spent more than enough time on this year's disabled list for this Atlanta club. Missed a whole month with a staph infection.
The way he's kind of twisting around, it's almost like he may have wrenched his back a little bit when he hit the wall.
Slow roller out to short. The shovel to second and a nice turn. And that'll retire the side. Braves pick up 2 more runs in the 6th inning. And it's a blowout at Turner Field. 10-3. Atlanta leads it. By Geico, by Georgia Power, and by Toyota. Great night here in Atlanta where the Braves are blasting the Cubs 10-3. Atlanta's hit 5 home runs, all of them off of ejected Carlos Zambrano. And now the Braves will go to their bullpen for a second time in this ball game. And the young right-hander Arodys Vizcaíno will answer the AT&T call to the Atlanta bullpen.
His Turner Field debut. He made his major league debut down in Florida a couple of days ago. hit a batter, walked a couple, struck out a guy, but did not allow any runs. Got a little help from Johnny Venters to clean that up. Only 20 years old. And I was saying to Freddie Gonzalez after that game down in Florida 2 nights ago that I said, you know, that young man's heart had to be just pounding. He goes, I know mine was. Freddie said mine was because I wanted him to do well.
David Ross headed back to the Atlanta dugout. Had a glove problem. But he's ready to go. And so is Vizcaino. Those are important innings for a young guy. Got a 7-run lead. And the 7th inning. Really a great chance for him to settle in, get his feet wet, get some confidence rolling out of the Braves pen. And Starlin Castro, the man that greets him first. The Braves have held the National League's hit leader hitless in Game 1 tonight. He's 0 for 3.
Two guys might be facing each other for a long time at different times in the season. One's 20, one's 21.
Up the middle. Alex, 360 spin, beautiful play.
How he does this and make an accurate throw on top of it is beyond me. I mean, if I spin around, I can't even find my chair to sit down, even though I know I'm going down.
Yeah.
And yet he gets his head turned around so fast that he finds Freeman right away and makes a great throw almost every time. .97 on that last pitch from Vizcaino.
He's facing one of the hottest Cubs hitters, Ernie Johnson. 11 hits in his last 18 at bats. This will be a fun matchup.
And Tim Timmons is not taking any grief from anybody tonight.
Hopped up. Alex drifts back.
Scoreboard operator had it 1-0 and it was 2-0. He turned around and yelled at the scoreboard operator. He is in control.
To his credit,
yeah,
tonight. Support the Braves here at Turner Field. Get your tickets now for August 19th, 20th, 21st. The Arizona Diamondbacks are coming to town. For tickets, visit Braves.com or call 800-745-3000. As it stands now, those are the first place Arizona Diamondbacks. A game ahead of the Giants at the start of play tonight in the National League West.
Vizcaino just threw that one right by a real hot hitter. I mean, Ramirez was very tardy.
Not that time, though. And into center field on 2 hops for Michael Bourne. A 2-out single for Ramirez, his second hit of this game.
But he was able to get the bat on that one because it was a little bit out away from him where he could reach it. Get it off the end of the bat. But Vizcaino, you got to love his nice, easy motion. And firing up some 95, 96, 97 with it.
Would that be the word that comes to mind if you had to use one for Vizcaino? Easy or smooth?
So far, I can't wait to see him pitch some more. But as we said down in Florida a couple of nights ago, the ball comes out of his hand real nice.
As bitter a pill as it was to swallow for the Braves to trade Javier Vasquez a couple of years ago,
Vizcaíno was a big part of that trade, and here he is, tender age of 20, working the Braves bullpen down the stretch.
The way it looks like he'll be used now, which is an inning or so at a time, he only needs a couple of pitches. It's not like you need a full complement of pitches like you would if you were a starter. We saw a really hard breaking ball, power breaking ball that struck out Logan Morrison down in Florida. So we know he's got that too.
Late swing by Soto, and the count now 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Line to third. Check the webbing chipper. That was smoked. Soto lines out. And Vizcaíno works a scoreless top half of the 7th inning. Time to stretch. All Atlanta. 5 homers have powered the Braves to a 10-3 advantage.
Jackpots.
And they weren't cheapies either. A lot of them deep into the seats. Chippers was 437 feet. Maybe that's the reason right here.
So last of the 7th. Another good night for Freddie Freeman. 2 more hits in 3 trips, including a 5th inning homer. And our Delta Airlines on deck batter is Dan Uggla. Yes, his hitting streak is alive. He's done it in a big way with 2 homers himself.
One out in the seventh.
On a day that's been filled with nothing but wonderful things, it's been a great day for Bobby Cox and his Hall of Fame induction and his number being retired. It's just been a wonderful day, and unfortunately we just got some horrible news. It kind of puts a damper on everything. And our pal and longtime Braves announcer and Hall of Famer in the Braves Hall of Fame, Ernie Johnson, passed away today.
3 hits for Dan Uglow.
Ernie had been fighting some illness off, put up a valiant battle, but died tonight with his wife Lois, his wife of 63 years at his side, his family there, and our sympathies to the entire Johnson family. That's a tough one.
About Braves baseball, I don't think anybody sitting in this booth would be sitting here were it not for Ernie Johnson.
No question. The patriarch.
Ernie was the voice of Braves baseball so many years here and was the inaugural voice on Sports South.
Yeah.
Sports South began back at the old ballpark. To center for Chipper. And 2 out.
World's filled with irony, but how about the irony that Ernie passed away today on what would have been your dad's 72nd birthday?
I was just thinking that. Well, I hope that they're together and Ernie's having a Manhattan and Dad's having a double doers.
Your dad already had it poured and ready.
Yeah. Little fly ball to center. And that retires the side in the seventh. 10-3 Atlanta on a bittersweet night at Turner Field. Park
We celebrate the jersey retirement, the wonderful career, and our loving friendship of our skipper, Bobby Cox. Number 6 will never be worn by another in the history of the Atlanta Braves. And that is tonight's Toyota play of the game.
It's interesting what gets to a guy, what really hits him hard, and it was, I thought, really revealing for Bobby to say, you know, when they pulled the curtain off that number 6, he had been doing pretty good until then. But when you see it happen, that's when you realize how real it is.
And we've talked to Tommy about that. Tom Glavine will be with us on Sunday. He said how surreal it is to come to the ballpark every day and look up and, hey, that was me. That was the number I wore. Nobody's ever going to wear that again. Well, clear some space up there. There are going to be a whole lot more of those numbers, and rightfully so, going up in the years ahead. As Marlon Byrd flies out, pun intended, one away in the 8th. And again, if you're just joining us, we hope you'll forgive a bit of a somber tone here on what should be a wonderful night for Braves baseball, but all of us are just numb at the loss of Ernie Johnson tonight. I'm sure Jim and Don are talking about it on their broadcast as well. Every single person who works here was collectively and individually touched by Ernie Johnson Sr.
Kinder, gentler man you've never met. And what a gentleman in all ways that you can express it. I remember a story your dad told me quite often about how after he had worked here, he and Pete had worked here a couple of 3 years, and one night he introduced Ernie when he was coming back either from radio or TV and said, you know, here now the voice of the Atlanta Braves, Ernie Johnson. And Ernie said, no, young man, he said, we're all the voices of the Atlanta Braves.
Pena down on strikes, 2 away. When you think about the broadcasters that he really broke into the business just here in Atlanta, all of us, Dad, Pete, Darren Sutton, who's gone on to a terrific career in Milwaukee and now with the Diamondbacks. I mean, just the countless people and lives he touched. I mean, I know we've talked about what an ambassador Bobby Cox is for the Braves. Talk about the original ambassador for baseball in this town. That wonderful, warm, it's time for Braves baseball. That Ernie used to utter. And sadly, during the years when the Braves really struggled, there weren't many opportunities for him to say, and on this winning night.
That's true.
Which was his trademark final soliloquy for that particular broadcast. And Soriano pops one up behind the plate.
You're talking about Ron Santo and the ultimate Cub fan, having played for them and then broadcast for them. I mean, the same can be said about Ernie. He loved the Braves. Came here with them from Milwaukee, and he was a jack of all trades when the team first came to town. Not just a broadcaster. He'd go out on sales calls with Wayne Long and set up the network, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, director of broadcasting for years here. Fly ball into shallow right center. Dan Uggla backs up. He's got it. Soriano and the Cubs are done in inning number 8. A 10-3 Atlanta lead. All Braves at the start of this weekend series, and here are our McDonald's fans of the game.
That's some nice new stuff there. They've even got strobe lights. Well done, fellas. What did he say?
Last of the 8th inning. Braves 10 runs on 11 hits, 5 of them home runs. And the lower third coming up in the form of David Ross, Jose Constanza, and then the pitcher spot.
James Russell's not got a good record. His ERA not horrible. But one thing he's done is hold down his walks. Look at that, 55 in the third innings. All of his work has come out of the bullpen. That's not true, Joe. He's made 5 starts, but 12 walks in 55 innings. Pretty good control. James Russell's dad, Jeff Russell, pretty good relief pitcher in his day too.
His dad pitched for the Reds, Rangers, A's, Red Sox, and Indians. A sellout crowd at Turner Field tonight. Announced at 50,146.
Wow. Outstanding. Again, more appreciation for Bobby Cox.
And David a little late. He's 2 for 4 on the night. One away. Win a VIP baseball experience presented by Captain Morgan. Go to www.braves.com/captain. Here's Constanza. He slaps at that ball and drives it to Soriano at left. And 2 are out. And Julio Lugo will bat for Vizcaíno.
2 good innings for the kid tonight. Retired 6 of the 7 he faced. Gave up a hit to Ramirez, 1 strikeout. But settled in tonight and was airing it out. 95, 96, 197.
Ball 1 to Julio Lugo.
Anthony Barbaro warming up in the Atlanta bullpen. Looks like he'll be next.
Lugo drives 1 to right. And that will retire the side. 3 outs to get for Atlanta. They've blasted away tonight. 10-3's our score. outs. And the AT&T call to the bullpen answered by Anthony Varvaro. He will face Baker, the pitcher spot, and then Starlin Castro with Atlanta comfortably in front. Braves hoping to gain some ground on the Phillies. Last report they were losing to the Washington Nationals. That's always good. Braves started play tonight 20 games over 500. That's a season high. They can move to 21 over if Barbaro can protect this big ninth-inning lead.
Yeah, he'd like to get out there, get the taste of that 3-run homer he gave up to John Buck the other night. Get that out of his mouth. He's thrown the ball pretty good, I think, since he got called up. Throwing hard, live arm. But John Buck turned around a 95-mile-an-hour fastball and hit a 3-run homer the other night to tie the game.
What a night of history in Atlanta for this Braves franchise. We retire Bobby Cox's number 6. Dan Uggla with a first at bat homer has a new Atlanta Braves hitting streak record. It's at 32 games. Chipper Jones picked up his 1,000th extra base hit with a home run. And again, sadly, our dear friend and the man who made all of this so very possible, and as one person wrote a moment ago, the nicest man who maybe ever lived, Ernie Johnson, passed away tonight after a lengthy illness.
Simmons trying to help the scoreboard operator out again and shaking his hand, and 2 strikes.
Now there's 3. And Baker wasn't sure of the count, or was it tipped? No, he's out. Baker asks for the ball to be checked. He thought it was tipped. No pine tar on that ball. 1 down. Tyler Colvin will pinch hit.
What's happened to this guy? Those are ugly numbers. Guy who started his career with a great deal of promise as a Cub. 15 for 123 at bats.
He might have been blocked by Fukudome. They traded him to Cleveland. We'll see if he can get some more at bats for Chicago. He's from North Augusta, South Carolina. Was born in Augusta, Georgia, way back in 1985. First round pick by the Cubs. But you're right, real good minor league offensive numbers. Hasn't done much the last couple of turns with the Cubs big league club.
Did you just say way back in 1985?
Just wanted to make you feel old tonight. Now, 2 outs. Just making sure you're paying attention. 2 away.
Yeah. Well, a good bounce back for Barbaro.
And Starlin Castro is the hitter. Remember, the Cubs have hit homers in 9 straight games coming into tonight's play. They've hit a couple balls hard tonight, but none have left the park. Derek Lowe and Randy Wells tomorrow night. We'll join you a half hour earlier. First pitch at 7:10. Braves Live 6:30. Popped up out of play. Down the left field line and gone. How about that? With 2 outs, Starlin Castro hits a solo home run to extend the Cubs' run of homers in games. And on the night we retire Bobby's jersey, it's a 6-run game.
Tell you what, he got through there quick on that one. Looked like a fastball, inner half, maybe the inner third on the corner, and he turned on it. Again, the ball, we talked earlier about how the ball was jumping off his bat. There's another case in point.
Here's Tony Campana. This man's become a crowd favorite in Chicago, much like Jose Constanza with the Braves. This guy can really, really run.
A lot of guys picking their relay teams want this guy for the anchor.
Oh, 2. He went, and that's your ball game. Barbaro strikes out the side in the 9th inning. The Braves play long ball. They hit 5 home runs off Carlos Zambrano, and Atlanta wins game 1 handily. 10-4 your final score. We will be back. We'll wrap it up for you from Turner Field right after this.